Introduction. What is it like to be a top blogger? No matter what you end up doing, working online is a fantastic opportunity and a great way to enjoy more freedom and potentially higher earnings. If you work online, that means you can work from anywhere in the world, that you can set your own pace to work at, and that you can choose your own salary. But while working online is always great, there are a lot of different forms that this can take, and not all of them are made equal. In other words, some online businesses are more profitable and more enjoyable than others. And if you're working to provide a service such as web design, copywriting, or coding, then essentially you won't be doing anything all that different from working for an employer. Clients mean deadlines, and they're essentially very similar to bosses. And then there are those hustles that you can get into online. Things like selling ebooks or working as an affiliate to promote someone else's ebook. These are passive income models that will earn you cash while you sleep or while you travel the world. They're low input and high yield. In many ways, they represent the very best of both worlds, and they're an ideal choice for those looking to earn money quickly. But let's face it, these business models don't have all that much ambition attached. Selling an ebook is not exactly changing the world, especially if it's not even an ebook that you made yourself. What's more is that selling ebooks isn't going to get you all that rich. There's definitely a cutoff point at which these get-rich-quick schemes stop being profitable. There's a ceiling that limits how much you can earn, and it's also not particularly exciting or rewarding. To be honest, a lot of people who make money online using these sorts of methods aren't all that likely to actually believe in the products they sell. Essentially, this feels like scamming people in order to make money, which isn't a great feeling. This is why I firmly believe that becoming a top blogger is the best way to earn a lot of money online. In this post, I'll be looking at what that entails and how you can get there. But first, let's take a look at why blogging is the perfect way to make money online. The reality of blogging. Firstly, being a top blogger means generating a passive income. You'll have a website that will earn money for you, but you won't need to put in a lot of daily work in order for that to happen. This isn't like writing or web design where you are getting paid for the time you put in. Here, you have done your work up front, and thus you can kick back and relax when the money comes in from adverts, digital products, and sponsors. That's not to say that there's no ongoing work, mind you. You will still need to write the occasional blog post and do some promotion. It's just that it is up to you how and when you do this. And the best part is that this is a highly rewarding way to work and make money online. You'll find that you don't dread doing it because you'll be writing about a topic that you really enjoy, and you'll be doing things that you're really proud of. Imagine if your day's work involves stopping off at a coffee shop somewhere, getting yourself a nice hot drink, and then leaning back into your chair while you type up an article on a subject you find fascinating. Then there's the fans and the adulation. Being a top blogger is effectively like being a celebrity. People will read what you write and they'll leave comments and respond. It's an amazing feeling when you write a post that you're really proud of and that you poured your heart into, and then you get emails from people who read it and found it fascinating. It's an even better feeling when you stumble onto a forum where people are discussing your ideas or recommending your posts. You'll be an authority in the niche you love, and you'll get to spend all your time reading and writing about it. And the potential earnings for a top blogger are huge. Really, the only limit is your ambition. Take a look at someone like Pat Flynn, Tim Ferriss, or Mario Popova, and you'll see that you can become really very wealthy from a big blog by selling products, by working with sponsors, or even just from Google AdSense. What's more is that a blog can serve as a platform to something else. This can be a tool that you use to become a published author, to get your own TV show, or to launch another business. That might sound unbelievable, but I'm absolutely serious. Just take a look at someone like Aaron Marino, Alpha M, who started out with a style blog and now runs his own line of men's grooming products. I can also attest to this myself. I have a fairly big blog, and thanks to that, I got contacted by a large YouTube channel and asked to make videos with them. I now get sent expensive electronic gadgets to review and get to keep them. Well, the videos I make for them got hundreds of thousands of views in the first day. I even got a book contract, and I'm currently on my way to becoming a published author. Being a big blogger is an entirely different thing from other forms of making money online. It's a chance to get rich, yes, but also to get famous for doing something you love, to make a big difference in a given community or niche, and generally to do something that actually matters. If you like the sounds of that and you think the blogging lifestyle is for you, then keep reading. This training is going to show you how to make it happen, and we're going to go to some completely different places than most other trainings on this subject. Strategy. Choosing a niche. I promised in the last video that we were going to go to some rather different places in this training. That's true, but before we get into the interesting stuff, I first want to cover something more basic: the process of choosing a niche and coming up with a brand. What you might not realize is that this is actually one of the most important aspects of being a successful blogger. Your fate is sealed as soon as you choose a brand, or fail to, so it's very important to give this the time and the attention that it deserves. Choose your niche. First, you're going to choose your niche. Entire trainings have been created on how to do this, but I'm going to simplify the matter for you incredibly by saying this: the niche you pick should be the subject that you are most passionate about. That is all there is to it. You might protest at this point and tell me that there's no money in knitting or Marvel Comics or Feng Shui. Whatever you're into, you've probably been taught that the big money is in health and fitness, or it is in finance. Get that idea out of your head and focus on writing what you know and love. This is so important because this is something you are going to be spending hours on every single day of your life for years to come. If you want to become a top blogger, remember we're not talking small hustles here, then you need to put in the time and you need to know the subject matter like the back of your hand. You're going to have to write this content yourself too, which is just one more reason that it needs to be something that you understand and that you love. What a lot of people do is to pick a niche that they are only somewhat interested in that they think can make them money. Then they hire a writer to fill it with content and they wait for their site to grow. This never works. It might make you some money, but you will not become a top blogger. Why? Because this strategy isn't going to bring anything new to the table and won't have your personality. Let's say you're writing about fitness. In order to be a top blog, you need to be contributing either the most comprehensive and accurate information out there so that you are a top resource, or you need to be contributing new ideas that no one else has come up with. You need to give your unique take on that matter and provide interesting insights and ways of looking at things that other people won't have considered. You need to do this in your own voice, in a way that lets people know what you're about, and that makes people want to keep on coming back to your site. If you hire a writer, then even the best writer in the world is going to give you content that is generic. They won't use their own personal voice because they're ghostwriting, and they won't contribute completely new information. That's because they're writers, not experts in that niche. And even if they were experts in that niche, they wouldn't want to give ideas that were too new, too controversial, or too unique, because they'll assume that you want to sound like you. In other words, they can't put words in your mouth. Only by writing it yourself can you bring something new to the table. And you can only do that if it's a topic you really know and understand. And this is before we mention the fact that you have to love the subject enough to spend all that time on it without getting tired of it and moving on. How to hone in on a smaller niche. But what do you do if the niche that you know is not one you can realistically succeed in? What if it is either too big or too small? A niche that is too big might be something like bodybuilding. This is a massive niche, and it's an industry that has huge amounts of cash poured into it all the time. If you want to create a blog on bodybuilding, then you're going to be going up against some huge established brands. These will include the likes of bodybuilding.com. So the question you now have to ask is whether you really think you can compete with a site like bodybuilding.com that is spending thousands, if not millions of dollars on advertising every single day, and they will already have a massive audience of regular readers. How can you stand out against that competition? One solution is to narrow in and make your niche a little more focused. What's a subsection of the bodybuilding niche that you can make your own? I've seen entire blogs on how to work your calves before, aimed at people who aren't happy with the size of their calves. If that's all you're focusing on and that's where you're putting all of your energy, then you can compete with bodybuilding.com in just that one capacity. But a better example might be to focus on a specific demographic. That can mean fitness for the overweight, for the elderly, for women, for students, for moms, or for entrepreneurs. One of my favorite examples of a successful blog is Nerd Fitness. Nerd Fitness is a blog about fitness that is aimed at nerds. This carves out its own very specific section of a larger niche and allows it to compete with much bigger names. You can also make a niche bigger by combining it with other topics and other ideas. Nerd Fitness does this in a way because the concept allows the blogger to write about other topics too, in particular nerd culture. Then there are examples like The Art of Manliness. This is a blog that covers everything that the author considers to be manly, from health and fitness, to style, to how to smoke a cigar. It's a very broad concept, but also one that is entirely unique in its own way. This is something you can do if your niche is too narrow. If the thing you really want to write about is Sonic the Hedgehog, then that probably is too narrow a niche to make money from on its own. So why not branch out a little bit by including other video games you like? Geekdom 101 is a YouTube personality who started out vlogging about Dragon Ball Z, but has expanded to include other films, TV, and games, and has that way built a far more monetizable brand. Likewise, if your passion is bonsai and you want to make that subject a little larger, then how about including some other things you're interested in that are related? Perhaps Japanese culture, horticulture, art, philosophy, painting. In this way, you are now starting to create a brand out of your niche, creating a very distinct topic and tone that helps you to carve out your own audience while writing about the things that really interest you. Route to market. The other thing you need to think about when you start coming up with the idea for your blog is your route to market. That means thinking about the ways in which you're going to market your blog. At first, your blog is not going to be highly monetized. You might be able to sell a product, but you'll need to build a big audience before you'll start shifting units. Likewise, AdSense and other display advertising won't earn you much at all until you start getting heavy traffic. So that means you really can't afford to pay for your advertising to begin with, and that in turn means you need to find ways to market yourself for free. A route to market is a direct channel you have to your target audience. Your target audience is your persona, the imaginary person for whom your site has been designed. You need to know what kind of person this person is and where they can be found. Then you need a way you can reach them for free. Creating your brand. Once you know your niche and your target audience, you should be starting to get a feel for what your blog is. This is what will now motivate your brand. A brand is not just a logo. Your logo is part of this, but what's more important is the mission statement behind that logo. In other words, you need to know what it is that your blog is doing for people, what kinds of people will read your content, and how you plan to bring value to the world. I highly recommend you to check out Simon Sinek's excellent TED Talk on the Golden Circle. Here, he explains that what makes a successful brand is not what it does or how it does it, but why it does it. What is the philosophy behind your blog? And more specifically, what kind of lifestyle are you trying to promote? In the case of your bonsai blog, you might be promoting art, peace, and culture. If you have a blog about fitness, then your mission statement might be helping people to lead a happier and healthier life, filled with new experiences and positive energy. Or it might be a place for iron warriors to toughen up and talk about weight training. These are two blogs in essentially similar niches, but they have very different tones and very different mission statements, which will define the kind of person that reads them and the way that the brand looks. Knowing your mission and making sure that this is present in everything you do is crucial for having a successful blog. Why? Because A, it will tell people instantly whether your blog is for them, and B, it will turn your blog into more than the sum of its parts. It will turn your blog into a movement and something that people can get passionate about and that they can really follow. A note to consider at this point is that by creating your mission statement, you are going to be automatically alienating some of your potential visitors. Your blog can't appeal to everyone, and if it did, then it wouldn't be particularly interesting for anyone. Be prepared for this and embrace who you are and what you want to blog about. Don't try and appeal to everyone, or you will lose your edge and become generic. And in case you aren't convinced by what I've been saying up to this point in the training, I want you to stop and think about the top blogs that you read and the kinds of blogs that you would read. Chances are that each of them is promoting a lifestyle or a movement. Chances are that each of them is doing something interesting and new. Now imagine a blog called How to Get Fit that only ever posts articles with titles like Top 10 Pec Exercises or How to Lose Weight for Summer. Would you bother to read that? No, because it's derivative. You've read this stuff 1,000 times before, and you don't stand to learn anything new or interesting from it. So, you won't read it. Generic blogs don't become top blogs. To succeed, you need to have real passion for what you're doing, and you need to be yourself. It may sound a little cheesy, but it really is true. Creating your logo. Okay, So now you've done all that strategizing, you're finally ready to start creating your logo. Your logo needs to be something that evokes the philosophy and the mission that you settled on. You need this to be something that people can look at and instantly know what your blog is all about. Of course, the name you choose for your blog is also going to play into this to a large extent. If you're having difficulty coming up with names and logos, then try writing down lots of words that relate to your niche and drawing lots of items relating to your niche. Take a look at all of them and see how you can combine them to create something interesting and unique to you. Likewise, consider some best practices for logo design. Firstly, your logo needs to be a vector file. That means it will be made in a tool like Illustrator, not Paint. This will mean that your logo can be changed to any size without losing any definition, and it means you'll be able to easily make edits without having to rub anything out. This is ideal if you want to create a black and white version of your logo in future to go on a product, or if you want to make a banner for some future advertising, for example. Other considerations include making sure that your logo is relatively simple, which again makes it easier for you to create various iterations, making sure your logo doesn't include any cliched elements, ticks, globes, or light bulbs, and choosing colors that will work with your site design and future design activities. If you aren't confident in how to go about this, then outsource this process. Come up with some ideas yourself, and then find a freelancer on freelancer.com, upwork.com, or 99designs.com. This way, you will get a much more professional-looking final product, and that's something that your customers and your visitors will be able to tell. Trust me, don't cobble something together that looks anything less than 100% professional. If there are any imperfections, don't accept it as complete. In fact, now is a good time to set out onto the web and to try and find yourself some inspiration and some competition. Find blogs that are similar to what you want to build and make a note of them. From now on, these top blogs are your competition, and they are the gold standard you are going to try and reach. Pay close attention to what they're doing and what you can emulate, and if there's anything that you feel they're doing better, work to get there. This sounds simple, but it's something a surprising number of bloggers just don't do. If you want to be a top blogger, then your website needs to be as good as that of any other top blogger. Subtle differences in quality make a big difference that your readers will feel. Building a top blog. This is a good time for us to discuss how you go about creating your top blog. We just discussed the importance of creating something that is every bit as professional as your inspiration for your logo. Now it's time to take the same approach to creating your own website. Again, it needs to look just as good as the best in your niche. Cut no corners and don't accept anything that anyone could consider to be unprofessional or amateur. The basics. Okay, so I'm not going to go into massive detail here about how to create a blog. It's really very easy to get detailed instructions on how to do things like signing up for a hosting account and setting up WordPress. So you don't need me to go over it in depth here. What I will say though, is that you need a hosting account, probably with a service like Bluehost, and you will probably want to use WordPress to create your site. WordPress is a site builder and content management system that will allow you to create new posts as easily as clicking post, and manage existing posts just as easily. What's more, is that you can completely change the look and feel of WordPress by installing new plugins and themes, and there's a huge, thriving community filled with people who will help you to come to grips with it, answer any questions you have, and build entirely new tools to help you out. This will be particularly important for us later on, because we're going to be using a lot of plugins in order to help us promote our site and grow it faster. WordPress now powers a third of the web, and is used in some of the biggest and most successful sites on the web, such as the BBC, Forbes, Mashable, Android Authority, the 4-Hour Blog, Smart Passive Income, and many others. In other words, it is a tried and tested commodity which removes a lot of the guesswork. We know that WordPress sites can be highly successful, and so when you use WordPress, you can rest assured that it's not the design or the code of the site that is holding you back. If you're not successful yet, then you need to concentrate on other aspects of your business rather than worrying about the way the site has been built. WordPress is also completely free and very easy to install. Through Bluehost's cPanel, you can actually install WordPress with a single click. This will make life much easier for you, so don't consider using any other strategy, which could ultimately waste your time and create more opportunity for things to go wrong. Creating your theme. Once you have WordPress installed, the next step is to choose a theme. The great thing about WordPress, as mentioned, is that you can install new themes very quickly. You can browse for themes through WordPress's own tool, but I don't recommend using any of these. Most of them are not terribly well designed, and what's more is that they will be used on so many websites, so yours won't be unique. So instead, head over to a site like ThemeForest and be prepared to pay a bit for a professional-looking theme. This isn't going to be astronomical. We're talking in the realm of $30. But as we've already seen, a professional site is an absolute must if you want others to take your site seriously and get excited about it. Make sure to check the previews and pick something that is responsive, meaning it adapts to the shape and size of the screen looking at it, that is crisp and uses high-definition images, and that is relatively minimalist and not too overcrowded so it looks busy or complicated. Better yet is to pay a professional design company to build you a theme from scratch. But if you want to hold off, you can wait until your site has picked up some momentum before you go about doing this. Finally, you want to customize the theme yourself. This will start by using your logo in the header, and from there, you want to make sure that the colors of the rest of your site match that header. You might also want to think about implementing a different background, moving widgets around, choosing whether you want to add or keep the slider, etc. Think about the type of content you're going to be writing and whether the layout will be conducive to that. For instance, many themes are very image-focused, and this is particularly true if you choose a theme that has a slider, meaning it will rotate through large, crisp images that come from your blog post. This is great if you have a good camera, and if you like to make lots of high-quality images for your articles. But if you don't have the means of making or acquiring the images, then it can actually be a bad thing. So make sure that you only feature images heavily if you have the ways and means to make them. Top plugins for bloggers. Now your blog is up and running, so you can enhance its capabilities with some plugins. These are small programs that will add features to your site or to the control panel behind the scenes, thereby giving you more control over the content. There are some plugins that are essential and others that can help a great deal when it comes to getting your site on the fast track to success. Here are some that you should consider installing. WordPress SEO by Yoast. WordPress SEO from Yoast is your one-stop shop for search optimization. It makes the process very easy. It's the one recommended by the most users and lets you control things like the title of the post as seen by spiders, as well as checking your keyword density and more. We'll talk a little more about SEO in future, but for now, this is a good start to get a little more love from Google. W3 Total Cache. W3 Total Cache can speed up your website by using caching. This means that certain images and other elements won't need to be loaded from scratch each time a visitor lands on your page. It's a useful strategy and might help to reduce your bounce rate by appeasing impatient viewers. Link Within. Link Within will place related posts at the bottom of each of your articles, that way giving your readers an easy way to find more of your content. This is a great way to keep people on your site, because they'll want to keep on reading and won't come to a dead end after they finish the post they're on. Akismet. One of the few downsides of WordPress is the way it can attract spam comments, which can in some cases make your life a constant process of deleting nonsense posts. Akismet is the best plugin out there for reducing that spam count and can make every blogger and site owner's life considerably easier as a result. XML Sitemap. XML Sitemap is a great plugin that can help you to generate a sitemap for your blog with a single click. In turn, this will help Google to index your site and any new posts, so it's definitely worth an install. Jetpack. Jetpack is not just one plugin, but actually several that all come from WordPress.com themselves. This includes site stats, for those without analytics, email subscriptions, social networking tools, and more. It comes pre-installed, and it's more than worth a couple of seconds of setup. AdSense Explosion. If you want to monetize your blog with AdSense but don't want to get too fiddly with it, then AdSense Explosion is an ideal choice, giving you just enough control while keeping things simple. It has had a few problems, but the support is good enough to make it the go-to AdSense plugin for many a blogger. Again, we'll talk about this more in future, but for now you can install this, add your own AdSense code if you have it, and start profiting right away. All-in-one favicon. All-in-one favicon is the simplest way to add a favicon to your site, that being the small image that comes up next to the title in the browser. This will make your site look more professional and increase your brand awareness in moments. Google Analytics. While Jetpack gives you some web stats, they pale in comparison to the in-depth nature of Google Analytics that will really allow you to see how your site is performing and hone it to perfection. This plugin means your site will be analytics ready with no hassle adding code to your pages manually. Google Typography. If you go with the pre-made WordPress theme, you're still going to want to edit it to make the design yours. Changing the typography is one important way to do this, and this plugin makes that simple. Go back and look at those top blogs in your niche again that I told you to note down. You'll notice that all of them have a very nice, crisp font that is easy to read. That's important because it's going to make people want to spend time on those sites. Styles. Styles allows you to easily change many more aspects of your WordPress theme right from the WordPress customizer. Disqus. Disqus is the best comment system for many reasons and will improve the look of your comment section as well as making it incredibly easy for users to post and for you to manage. This also creates a new way for people to discover your site through the Disqus community itself. Optimized Database. Optimized Database will help you to keep your database clean, thereby keeping your site sprightly and avoiding errors. WooCommerce. WooCommerce is one of the best and easiest ways for businesses to sell products directly from their site and thus monetize their blog. More on this later. The plugin is free, but payment gateway extensions will cost you a little, $25 to $75. iThemes Security, formerly known as Better WP Security. This is a plugin that provides numerous ways to further improve the security of your blog, an important consideration for any business. Bottom of every post. This is a plugin that allows you to add a section of code at the bottom of every post. Pretty simple. It's great because it's going to let us add our opt-in form later on, the way that people sign up to our mailing list. Shareaholic. This is one of several plugins that will allow your visitors to quickly and easily share your content on their social media pages. It's a quick way to get more likes on Facebook and tweets on Twitter, which in turn brings more visitors to your site. Instagram Widget by WP Zoom. This is going to place a feed with your Instagram pictures right into a widget, ideally on your homepage. This will allow people to see that you are active on Instagram and get a taste for the kind of content you share. That means more followers, and it means your site will look more active and interesting. Twigget Twitter Widget. In a similar vein, Twigget allows you to show your Twitter feed. This is great because it means people can see that you are active on social media and get a taste for the kind of content you create. In turn, that will mean that you can gain a lot more followers on there a lot more quickly. YouTube channel. YouTube channel from Alexander Yarosevich is a very powerful tool that will embed your YouTube videos into your sidebar, either your latest video or a random one. In a moment, we're going to discuss in depth why YouTube is such an important part of your business plan. Creating a personal brand. Okay, so now we're going to talk a bit more about the interesting stuff, the differentiating factors that will help you to become a top blogger rather than just a blogger. One of the options available to you here then is to create a personal brand. This basically means that you're going to put yourself at the forefront of your branding and messaging, and you're going to become a living advocate and example of the lifestyle you're living. This isn't 100% necessary to run a top blog. But if you think about the biggest blogs on the web that aren't owned by massive companies, then you'll realize that the personality of the owner is often front and center. I Am Alpha M, Strength Camp, Smart Passive Income, The 4-Hour Workweek, Matthew Woodward, Brain Pickings, The Art of Manliness, Nerd Fitness, Mark's Daily Apple, Heidi Cohen, etc. Having a personality attached to a blog makes it much more relatable, much more interesting, and much more trustworthy. When you read a blog that is run by an actual person who is happy for you to see their face, you can feel as though you almost know that person. That way, you're more likely to trust their opinion and to feel as though they are talking right to you when you read their comments. Likewise, you can enjoy a bit of the voyeurism that comes from getting a glimpse into someone else's life, and you can live vicariously and see what their lifestyle must be like. Reading about fitness on a generic blog is detached, and you have no reassurance that the person writing cares about you, that they practice what they preach, or that what they preach even works. But if you're reading the blog of a guy who lives the life he promotes, who is in fantastic shape, who looks confident and attractive, and who is friendly and outgoing, then suddenly they become a walking advert for the ideas and lifestyle they recommend. Suddenly, You want to listen. Creating a personal brand also opens up a lot more marketing opportunities and makes a lot more sense when it comes to Instagram, etc. So how do you do it? Step 1. Invest in your most important brand. In life, your name is your most important brand. Now, that is also going to be true in an even more literal business sense. And just like any brand, you need to invest if you want to get the most from it. In other words, you need to practice what you preach, and you need to show that you are someone worth listening to. If a tramp came up to you and started giving you advice, would you listen? No. Likewise, if a regular-looking guy or gal came up and gave you advice, you might likewise not be all that inclined to listen. We listen to people who seem to have it all together, and so you need to try and present that face to the world. This means that you need to start thinking about how you come across. If you don't normally spend any time looking after your health and fitness, then you need to start doing that and hitting the gym. Likewise, you can start thinking about your clothes a little more and giving yourself a little more time to shave, to clip your nails, and to moisturize. Spend a bit more money on your clothes. This might mean you need to own fewer items of clothing, but it is much better to have a few very impressive items than it is to have a lot of junk. Make sure that your clothes fit well. All this might sound small, but if you are creating YouTube videos or posting images to Instagram, then people will unconsciously pick up on that nice watch and the high-quality fabrics you're in, and this will give what you're saying more weight and more credibility. Instagram is a great place to focus on how you're going to create an image for yourself. Instagram is all about making life more artistic and more exciting than it is. So make sure you are taking photos of the things you're doing that are relevant to your brand, and to make sure that you're playing with angles, lighting, and filters in order to make them more dramatic and desirable. Again, take a look at what the top people in your niche are doing. How are they selling the lifestyle? You can also be a bit candid with it. Don't be afraid to show occasional pictures of yourself out in the town with friends, or traveling, or chilling with a mug of coffee. Don't do this too often if it is off-brand. But do it a little, because that way you can demonstrate that you are a well-rounded person with a lot going on. Once again, this makes you a person that people want to emulate, follow, and listen to. Remember, it's all about the brand, and that means demonstrating that you have the lifestyle that your readers want. You don't need to be dishonest, but just make sure that you practice what you preach, and that you can show the benefits of that on camera. Creating social media accounts is very important if you're going to be building a personal brand, and this will allow your visitors and your followers to feel as though they're getting to know you. We'll discuss this more in future videos.